Hey friends, it's Jasmine, and I hope that you all are doing well. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I am a witchy content creator here on YouTube. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back. In today's video, I want to kind of continue the astrology magic sort of series that I've been working on. I've already done Aries and Taurus, and this is going to be kind of the closing with Gemini. I have Cancers already uploaded onto the Patreon for early access and release, so if you're interested in watching that, you can check out my Patreon link down below. However, it will be posted here on YouTube as well. I believe it's premiering later this week. So Gemini season for me has been extremely busy in all of the best ways, really. Earlier in Gemini season, I went to this ghost tour. So I was on Facebook one day and I saw that there was this company called Unseen Press. And they actually do like historical lantern lit ghost tours pretty much all summer in my area. And you guys know that I'm really interested in learning more about kind of the world that I live in, my city, the natural landscape. And so when I saw this, I thought it would be a really good way to kind of connect more with this concept of like the genus loci, right? And like the spirit of a place. Now, I know that my city of Indianapolis is already kind of peculiar, and I do know some things about the city. However, I really wanted to go on the downtown ghost tour, but I wasn't able to make that one. So I went on the Noblesville Ghost Walk tour.
So they kept a lot of the architecture. In this window, there are attorneys' offices there. I would say 10, 15 years ago, there was an attorney that happened to be talking.
Our tour guide's name was Ken, and he was lovely. He gave us a really great tour, and I went with a couple of my friends, and we were able to make like a really fun evening of it. I'll probably post some videos somewhere here in this video from that ghost tour.
Father was a merchant. John grew up here in Noblesville. He actually was fascinated with military and militia, with armies and ammunition. And when the news of Fort Sumter came around, he had actually already started gathering a voluntary group. It was originally all open. They closed it off down the middle. He starts working on farms. He starts doing odd jobs. Then he starts becoming a builder. He's one of the most prolific builders in Noblesville. A lot of the sales. Men folk would go outside, they would cut the grass, blah blah, right? There is a lot of history with this jail. This jail closed as an official jail in 1977.
And at the end of the video, if you're interested, there will be like some pictures from the ghost tour walk. Overall, it was really interesting, and I got to learn a lot about Noblesville. Some really cool sort of historical things, some really unfortunate, morbid things, but nonetheless, I really enjoyed it. And like I said, Ken was a fantastic tour guide. So Gemini season, right, is about the third house, and it's about communication, understanding, learning. Gemini's ruling planet is Mercury, and I feel like by going on this ghost tour, I was very much kind of being committed to the principles of the third house with learning and communication, meeting new people and learning new things. After the ghost tour, we went to one of my favorite bars here in my city, and we had a really good time there, and it was really nice just to spend some time with friends and enjoy something kind of spooky, even though it's summertime.
I got that
when I looked in that corner you were looking at, I was like, oh, okay. I see it.
So something else that's kind of a big deal and has taken up a lot of my time is I was privileged and lucky to ordain another wedding. So this will mark wedding number 9 for me as a priestess, as far as ordination goes. However, this was my first wedding ever officiating on a boat. So me and one of my coven sisters met my other coven sister up in Michigan. we drove. It was about 5.5 hours to Traverse City, Michigan. I don't know if you watched like my Gemini vlog video, but I kind of talked about how I would be up there and like if anyone else lives in Michigan to like hit me up. And I did get to meet some cool people, so that was really fun. And you know, it's really honestly an honor being able to be part of someone's special day.
And they are always together all weekend, so I'm just like, that's bullshit.
Are we ready?
Unprofessional bullshit.
Get in here, sit. Okay.
Real cute.
What? The Great Wolf Lodge?
Yeah, I've just never been to one.
Oh yeah, it is cute.
It's been like,
It'd be hella nice if it weren't for the kids.
So Paige and Sydney have gone inside to go get us some snacks, and we are at the Great Wolf Lodge in Traverse City, Michigan. The water park is so fun. It is so fun. I went down the water slide with the bride, who I am officiating her wedding, and I had a great time. And I'm really looking forward to this wedding, and I'm really looking forward to being able to, you know, kind of show some of my coven mates how we really officiate as good pagan women. Okay? For me, ordaining weddings is very much a part of being a priestess. And in my opinion, it's something that you should kind of familiarize yourself with in order to be sort of a working priestess in the community and be of service to your local community. Weddings is just one way to do that. I don't necessarily think that every single priestess has to choose that particular priestess path, but it's something important for me, and it's something that I really love about my path and my practice.
Each little rope has a specific reason. I try to follow and figure out what that reason is.
I believe my first wedding I ever officiated was, I want to say back in like 2013, 2014. And how I actually got into it initially was I had some friends who were getting married, and they had asked if I would do their ceremony. Now, where I live, I don't know about other countries or things like that, but it used to be that you had to really get access through this through some sort of seminary school or religious organization. However, nowadays you're able to just really go online and pay a fee and fill out some questionnaire, and you can become an ordained minister. You don't have to necessarily be connected to a large religious organization.
See, my classes, or my high school teacher taught me stuff. But it's a new parent, and we just add it back.
yeah,
You're like,
yeah, I
hey,
never
of
did it,
course.
and then last year I tried it.
Your motto. It was
and
the
I was
motto
like,
for me.
no, hold on.
Over the
I was like, well, my partner likes.
It was
more
the
whiskeys.
troglodyte for me.
Like he likes
Well, I got
pretty
some
much
left.
any liquor.
Would you
He's
mind pouring it out?
been used to it, but me, I was like,
Sure.
I'm a baby. I need the fruitiest thing ever. Now I'm like, oh shit.
Now, that's not to say that since then I haven't sort of explored more of the priestess path and kind of developed my own technique when it comes to marrying two people together. Typically, when a couple comes to me and is interested in me ordaining their wedding, we normally have some sort of conversation first about like what the whole process will look like. I feel like for me as a witch and a high priestess, I'm really focused on start to finish, how can we best serve this couple? So there's normally a couple of sessions prior to the wedding where we do some synastry, we look at the astrology of the dates and the couple, and we pick out the location together, the date together, and we kind of do some astrological couple synastry, sort of looking at their astrological love language and how their astrology signs going from their sun, moon, rising, and then of course their inner planets like Mercury, Venus, and Mars, how these relate to each other, and sort of have this discussion and really kind of clear the air between the couples on topics that, you know, sometimes are difficult to talk about, and it's nice to have that third party in order to discuss some of this, like kids and taxes, property, prenups, things like that.
Are they actually big?
I've seen that macabre one, and I've been looking at that one.
Oh,
Yeah, the macabre one is gorgeous.
I see the Urso right there. You have that one, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
I like that one a lot.
No, these gals are ready for a good time to sue. Perfect. All right, gal.
Looking at the chocolate types.
Yeah, that's mostly Pinot Noir. Do you like Pinot Noir? It's got a softer tannin to it.
Give me shit. You need to watch the
Nice
Unbreakable
bubbles in that one.
Love that.
So, but his wife said it wasn't such a good idea when they bought it in London. His name is Scott Gunderson, and he just did them one at a time, boiled down the rib, very fitting, it's all good, it's all smelled, it was wagging up from the old when we get around to harvest, we're going to be harvesting our grapes in the fall. With our vineyard kind of aside from the harvest all these grapes of this wine that you're drinking.
And they got every season over there. Every season is something else. And I'm not ready.
Do here besides just create places to keep our wine at the proper temperature all the time. And this is the insignia. So behind, so I always feel like when I'm opening it, it's like who goes into the castle?
Yeah, I love it. Like, what's the password?
Yeah.
It's really cool. I love those doors. It's so cool.
So then they're all along. Help yourself. Anybody wants some water here?
Now, as an ordained minister, I'm not an attorney and I'm not really a legal representative. My signature can legally bind two people together in matrimony, but I can't really give legal advice. And that's not really, I feel like, the job of the priestess. The job of the priestess is to help the couple figure out their ceremony. Oftentimes, couples that I'm officiating are going to be spiritual or pagan in some nature or practice an alternative religion. I feel like an experienced priestess should be familiar with alternative marriage practices. You know, when we think about weddings, we often think about like very stereotypical things like tossing the garter belt or the bouquet or throwing bird seed. At least here in the States, we think about flower girls and ring bearers. Maybe the bride walking down to a particular song. I think all of that is great to include in a wedding if the couple chooses to, but there's also other things like wreathing ceremonies and hand fasting rituals, unity candles, unity vases filled with sand. There's the exchanging of ale with like the wine toast, there's jumping the broom. There's all different types of sort of wedding ceremonial practices that the priestess should be able to openly discuss with the couple. And that's part of the job, as well as actually setting up and building the ceremony and helping the couple kind of create that sacred moment. Because remember, the wedding is really just one day and it goes by really fast. And I do think that, you know, really focusing on the ceremony is kind of the priority of the priestess. But it's also about supporting the couple through this process of being engaged all the way up into being married. So I went to Traverse City to officiate this wedding, and it was absolutely gorgeous. I'll also include some photos and videos probably at the end of this video if you're interested in seeing some of that. We went on a boat, and actually that's where the ceremony was. It was on like this big fishing boat off of Lake Michigan, and it was absolutely gorgeous. I've never seen anything like it. The couple that I was officiating was really interested in having sort of a destination/experience-based wedding. They really wanted their kind of small, intimate group of people they invited to their wedding to really remember this day. And I definitely think that we accomplished that goal. You know, having an outdoor wedding can be kind of tricky sometimes, and we were very blessed and fortunate to have perfect weather for the ceremony. And then the night before, I also was able to host a bride veiling.
Sides. There's an end back there and an end here. If you're on this side of the boat, you're going to be working on the peak. That's
ceremony, which is something that some witches choose to do for the wedding. So what the bride veiling is it's essentially, oftentimes it might be coven members of the bride, or it could be bridesmaids. But it's kind of like this whole ritual where the bride is put kind of in the center stage of the ceremony. And there's a person that represents earth, air, fire, water, and spirit, and then someone to also represent the ancestors. And if you remember that part of the movie from Sleeping Beauty, I think it is, where the fairy godmothers come and bless the child, and then, you know, Maleficent comes and curses the babe for not being invited to the party. It's kind of like that, only usually without the cursing. So a representative from Earth might give the bride a small token of that element in order to kind of gift the bride, you know, prosperity and health. The person who's representing fire might gift the bride something that represents that element, maybe like a candle or a piece of jewelry, or maybe lubricant to like represent sexual prowess and connection through that sort of aspect. So you can kind of think outside of the box here. The gifts aren't necessarily supposed to be something from the bride's registry. I mean, the gifts can be big and grandiose by all means, if that's what you choose to do, but oftentimes they're just kind of small tokens of, you know, magic and blessings given to the bride to kind of prepare her for that day. And the same is said for spirit. And then normally the person who represents the ancestors is going to give something cultural, or is going to give something actually from their family lineage. And usually the person who represents ancestry is a relative. We stayed at the Great Wolf Lodge, which is like an indoor water park, and that was definitely different, however, super enjoyable. We had like these cool wristbands, kind of like at Disney World, where we could just like open up our door and we could charge things to the room if we wanted to, which we didn't do that, but we had the option to, which was nice. That way you don't have to really carry, you know, your cards and stuff like that around. They had a really nice complimentary breakfast buffet that was nice. And then the indoor water park, which we definitely spent some bubbly nights in the hot tub, of course. And they had a bar as well in the indoor water park. And that, as you can imagine, was lovely. Really, the weather the whole time we were there was phenomenal. And going back to like the magic of Gemini in the third house, I really got to spend a lot of intimate time with a couple members of the coven, which was really nice. And both of those people who came with me, who are in the coven, who are my coven mates, had actually not seen sort of a witchy or pagan wedding ceremony of this nature before. So it was nice being able to kind of teach and share with them. Actually, one of my coven mates was able to actually kind of help me put the bride veiling together. She worked on the ceremony of it all and the outline, and it definitely made me a very proud craft mom that she kind of took that step and was willing to kind of do that. And I think that as witches ascend through the degree system, if they choose to, it's definitely something that I think is an important skill within covenry, to be able to offer the witches of your coven, but also to be able to offer the wider community. When I think as a priestess and as a witch of doing a wedding ceremony, it is also kind of like a binding spell where you are helping the couple bind themselves together in this life and the next lifetime if they so choose. It's a very special, important thing, and it's definitely a high honor to be chosen to do someone's ceremony. As far as ceremonial magic goes for Gemini season, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have been so busy between, you know, the various things I'm doing, taking care of my grandmother, the vacations, work has been busy, which I'm very thankful for, very blessed. But it's just been a very busy and abundant season. It's been a bit chaotic, which I think is pretty typical for the mutable energy of Gemini. And, you know, also I've been really committed to learning some new things, kind of like with that association of the planet Mercury. I recently read Brian Kane's Initiatory Witchcraft, I believe is what the book is called. And I really enjoyed that book, actually. We listened to it as an audio version on our way to and from Michigan. And I really enjoyed like the chapter on the witch's goddess. That was really good. Kind of this belief that there is one great goddess that is represented through multiple different forms of, you know, Isis and Hecate, and learning about the cults of Isis and the cults of Hecate was really interesting. I also really liked, I think it was chapter 3 or chapter 4, where Brian was kind of talking about witchcraft covenry, you know, throughout the years and different lineages and different traditions, and sort of notable people in the craft. I thought that that was really important in that book, and that was probably my favorite part actually about that book. If you live in my area and you're interested in going on one of the ghost tours that I mentioned earlier, the company is called Unseen Press, and I'm not super sure if they have a full website or not, but they are on Facebook and you can check them out. They actually do historical guided tours, I believe every Friday and Saturday, essentially all summer long. They do some in Westfield, Indiana, Noblesville, Indiana, Indianapolis, Indiana, and I believe some other places as well. And so if you live locally to me, I would definitely recommend checking that out, because it's well worth the $20 ticket price. And I feel like as witch, it kind of helps connect you more to the spirits of your land, and also learning about how, you know, your local city or town was founded and who was influential in this space. I think that that can be beneficial for also necromantic arts as well. I've talked about going to Crown Hill, which Crown Hill is, I believe, one of, if not it's one of the largest cemeteries within a state capital in all 50 states. And there's some really notable people who are buried there. There's a woman named Nellie, I forget her last name, but she was known as a famous palm reader of the stars and even read several presidents' palms. John Dillinger, who is like a big time bank robbing gangster, he's buried there, which of course is very notorious and attracts all sorts of attention. Crown Hill is just overall a gorgeous, gorgeous cemetery. It really is kind of like a public attraction in a way, in the sense that, I mean, the trails are lovely through there. People ride their bikes, families go on picnics. There's a beautiful church and a mausoleum that's really lovely. There's a whole Islamic section within Crown Hill Cemetery, which I find to be really lovely and beautiful. There's also several folkloric witches. So people who really were witches in life and who lived and died here in the city and who are buried there. And there's some practices that go along with that, to where like their life has kind of inspired these folkloric practices. I'm not going to name the particular witches that are buried there, because out of respect, and also too, some things are just fourth power, right? So if you know, you know. I've also been, really busy with the coven as well as, we're approaching summer solstice, and we are doing our coven summer solstice a little bit later this year. However, summer solstice is kind of putting the light half of the year to a close for us. And also when we have people who are seekers and who look to move towards initiation, this is the time where they kind of start petitioning. So once these certain signs and symbols and omens have been met, then they petition the coven, and if petitioning is granted, they become a dedicant until initiation happens later on in the year at the next Sabbath, which is during our retreat. So one of the things magic-wise that I have done is called a witch's call, which a witch's call is basically kind of like an invocation of drawing witches to you. And this is something that I have decided to share with you all. This is something that's personal and that has been very much kind of like a private practice of mine. But I feel like I get a lot of questions from you guys about how can I find a coven, or you feel disconnected from the wider witchcraft community. And this is a ritual that could be of good remedy for that. The ritual is also fairly simple. All you're really gonna need is essentially a spell candle, and then you kind of speak this invocation to the candle, and imagine the candle sort of being like an illuminating light for witches to find you, kind of like putting a Batman beacon up in the sky, and in a metaphorical and metaphysical sense. So you say this invocation, you light your candle. I would do this on whatever full moon is gonna be closest to you. You could plan this out and make it more ceremonial if you choose to, but really it's just this simple invocation and this candle and the intent of attracting witches to you. Now you wanna be mindful as well about what kind of witches you wanna attract to you, because if you do this solely with the purpose of just attracting witches, you're going to get more of the good, the bad, and the ugly. So think about what sort of witches you would like in your life. Are you really looking for covenry, or are you looking for friends? Both is fine if that's what you want. So I will roll this footage of the invocation, check it out. Feel free to, incorporate it into your own practice if you're looking to sort of draw some witches to you.
I call you now, sisters of the night. Winds are rising and brooms in flight. I call you now, brothers of the cloak. Summon the towers as we invoke. A whispering voice echoes the chants. 1,000 witches return to dance. Gathered among stray witches are found, encompassing the moon to draw it down. Our forces joined and our hearts as one. The magical feast has just begun. This power is rising in the valleys and fields. Harnessing this enchantment is easy to wield. From the mountains to the sea, the universe exudes this energy. The witch's call now cast and spent. The moon is drained without relent. Return to home and hallowed ground till next time when the moon comes round. The witches will whisper this tune in the night. Gather ye witches, it's time for flight. Blessed be, so mote it be.
I really hope that you have enjoyed that, and if you end up using this invocation, let me know what your results are. Myself, as well as in our coven, have used this invocation pretty much every year, and it has always reaped us very good results. I hope that you've enjoyed that. If you've made it this far in the video, use the keyword camel somewhere down in your comments below. I'm gonna roll some additional footage from Gemini season in my life, between hanging out with friends and bonfires, the ghost tour, and the trip to Michigan where we welcomed a new bride. I'm gonna include all of that here, so if you're interested in looking at some of those pictures and videos, we'll roll those tapes. And if not, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you all are blessed and living loudly and proudly. And thank you for letting me share some of this with you and watching this video. And I look forward to seeing you all on the other side of summer solstice. If you celebrate Litha or summer solstice, I hope that you have a blessed one as the sun enters the 1st degree of Cancer. I will be also releasing soon. I got another bone box, so I'll be releasing another video like that if you're interested in checking that out. And anyway, until next time, blessed be.
Talking about these satanic temple pride flags. Well, like, look at this one. Camera. Yum. Pineapple. I'll give you a tour. Let's start with this creepy thing. I don't know what it is. This is called Dancing in the Moonlight. And
A circle of friends is what that's called.
that represents us.
Yeah, it's a coven thing, actually.
This is a vintage lighter holder. This is an elephant with the trunk broke off. This is a ceramic mushroom. I got all of these for $1, by the way. Iron. Let me take you in here. I have this creepy little girl on a mirror. I got this for $2 and it's worth $500. I'd say it was a steal.
Big purr.